Hi, I'm Marydee Donnan. I'm a volunteer with the ONWARD project. I work with the archival material from the expedition of 1933 to 1938. I attach keywords, search words, to the photographs, the letters, the diaries, and the other documents that we have in this collection. And by keying in these search words, we can bring up images of the crew or a letter from the project director, Ansel Hall, to someone, and we can find things easily. One of the more interesting documents that we have come across is the diary of Grace Hoover. Grace Hoover was a California woman who was asked by Ansel Hall to participate in the 1934 field season in Marsh Pass and Kayenta and Sege Canyon. Grace looked like this. I have a photo of her. Hope you can see it okay. And Grace kept a wonderful diary, and I'm going to read you an excerpt from that so you'll get an idea of how she saw this project. She was the only female photographer on the project. So the part I'm going to read you is an excerpt from her first visit into Sege Canyon. And this is July 16th, Monday, July 16th. We left Kayenta about 11 o'clock, John Weatherall driving us with a load of supplies to Marsh Pass, where George, my husband, and Herb Bolton were waiting with 9 pack animals. We all had a little lunch, then Milton Weatherall came along on his horse, trailing a mule, and helped the men with the packing. It was Milton's first official day, and we were to be his first dudes to go into the canyon with him. However, we did not really enter the precinct until Friday. We 3 started on ahead of the others because Milton wanted to show us certain features off the trail. My husband rode the big burro called Lard, and I rode Benno. Benno always chose the moment when I was admiring the landscape to jump over some shadow in the path, and thus punctuating my views with exclamations. A delightful breeze came up the Sege Canyon above us, with blue skies and lovely white clouds, which often covered the sun and made for cool riding. It was a heavenly day. We stopped to make pictures, and once Milton caught a young night heron, a waterfowl not seen in these parts for a long while. Frequently, we splashed across Laguna Creek until we turned into Doguijibigo Canyon, where the sand was merely deep and damp. At one place, Milton pointed out the swallow's nest, a tiny cliff dwelling high on a precipitous cliff. Another time, we stopped to see numerous small hand prints made by ancient people, imprinted upon the rock face with some mineral pigment which had withstood the elements for centuries. Miles further along, we rested at a spring, and I have sat for 5 minutes before this typewriter trying to think of words that would convey just how delicious that water was. The nectar of the gods would be stale and brackish in comparison. Continuing our way, we passed by Ladder House, another tiny ruin far above us. Finally, about 6:30, after that beautiful 14-mile ride, we turned into Water Lily Canyon and spied the camp on the ledge above us, so pleasantly situated with a great wall of rock almost enclosing the whole canyon. We zigzagged up the trail and were welcomed by the men who had waved to us from above as we rode along. It was a delightful time of day to see Camp Anasazi, and we found a fine organization. There were the open-air kitchens, long eating tables, 2 tents, saddlery, individual campsites, drinking pools for men and animals, a well-planned layout. Abundant trees were in contrast to the desert we had left. While we were eating, Mr. Marsh, George, and Ben Weatherall arrived with the pack train. Dr. Winning and Dr. Clark arrived carrying our bedrolls, while One of the boys brought a rake and we established our camp places, a pleasant walking distance from the center of things. How different it was here, a real little wet creek, trees galore. It was fun to explore ruins that had not been restored, to find the old corn cobs, pottery sherds, bits of woven burden carriers, braided yucca with feathers, ancient turkey wings. One's awareness of the past civilizations become very acute in the midst of such tangible testimony. The circular kiva was much larger than any of the rooms, and one great original beam was still in place where the roof had been. We were surprised at the degree of overhang of the cave's wall to reach an especially interesting section of the ruin where meal bins were still in a fine state of preservation, 3 in a row. It was necessary to step along a very narrow ledge and grasp the old handholds. To think of needing to build one's home high up on a sheer cliff. Here's just a little preview of some of Grace's work. And I hope everybody is taking care of themselves, being well, staying safe, staying happy, with love in your heart, and looking onward. Bye from Marydee Donnan.